David, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I know you joined Duetto as Chief Revenue Officer in 2018, became CEO in 2020. I'd love to start by just understanding what have been some of your biggest learnings over the last 4.5 years leading the company?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I was a newcomer, relative newcomer to the industry, and I've really grown to love the hospitality industry, hotels, the people that are passionate about serving guests and creating great experiences. The biggest learnings are probably the what I've learned from the Duetto team and people who are super passionate about what they do, that made a career out of hospitality is, very inspiring to me, frankly. And the industry has been through a lot in the course of
Yeah.
time that I've been
Since you
involved.
started, yeah.
Yes, and so with the pandemic and then the subsequent recovery, it's amazing how resilient this industry is, and how people who really care about creating great experiences for people and the guests that come and travel. I love that aspect of it. We have a lot of opportunity still, even
Yeah.
though we've been in business for 12 to 13 years. We have a lot of opportunity as a company to make the lives of hoteliers better. And there's in the specific area where we play with the fragmentation and technology and all the different technologies that hotels use to run their business. Is something we think a lot about, and we think there's a lot of opportunity there. So, generally, I would say my biggest learnings are that I really love the industry, I love the people, and when I was previous to this, when I would travel, I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes when I check into a
Right.
hotel. And it's really an incredible thing that hotels do to make guest experiences great.
Okay, yeah, and we'll definitely talk about some of that technology and things that you were referencing there. So next I have to ask about, in June it was announced that Growth Curve Capital is acquiring Duetto from Warburg Pincus. What does this mean for Duetto?
Well, I mean, at a minimum, it's a recognition of the success we've had over the course of time. We're going to be, focused on building on the foundation we've built over the last, 13 years, and that is the great brand that we've built in the industry, the incredible team that we have, both in terms of technology as well as hospitality professionals. We've been focused on this idea around open pricing and driving more revenue and profitability for our customers, and we continue to grow and add more customers every day. And so when you think about this acquisition, when we selected Growth Curve and they made the decision to buy us, one of the reasons that we were really aligned is that they're very focused on product, which was very important to me and to my team. And so the investment, then what this will give us is the opportunity to continue to build on that great foundation. That includes, adding AI into our products, which
Yeah.
we're already down the road on doing, and we have been for some time, but we will accelerate that over the course of time, expanding into new areas, both in terms of technology, but also in terms of, as an example, geographies.
Yeah.
And generally, building scale into the business so we can continue on the path that we've had over the last 13 years to create a lot of value for our end customers, which is where it all starts, but
Okay.
also to build a very successful company. So we're super excited about it. A great team at Growth Curve, and we have a great team, and all of the interactions we've had over the course of the last, 6 or so months have been fantastic.
Let's talk a bit more about this piece around AI strategy. I know that was specifically mentioned in the announcement about the acquisition and developing new AI products. Can you give us a little bit of a hint of what's in development there?
Well, so first and foremost, at the core of Duetto, we've always been investing in analytics. That's really kind of foundational to an RMS product. So investing in analytics and machine learning and things like that, that's not necessarily new. It's actually been part of it's been part of the build out of the company. So what now there's with the advent of a lot of new technologies in AI that are coming out, and we've already started, working with those technologies to embed them in certain areas of our products. I won't tell you specifically what we're going to do because we want to keep that under wraps until we announce it.
Okay.
But we will probably be rolling out our first AI-enabled product the back half of this year, so before the end of the year. And we expect to launch a number of AI-related products within or features or enhancements within our products. We have a very data-rich business, and
Yeah.
that data is something that we can do more things with in terms of AI. But regardless of AI or analytics or any of those things, the focus is going to be on how do we make our customers more effective? How do we make their user experience, frankly, easier to use? How do we get them the data that they need and make it actionable so that they can do their jobs and focus on strategy and maximizing the revenue and profit for the hotel? So while AI is a means to an end, it is not the only means. And we will continue on this theme of making sure that we are improving the lives of hoteliers by making great software and making them more effective in their jobs every day.
What would you say? I think you kind of referenced this a moment ago, about the different systems and things that hoteliers are using. What would you say still needs to be fixed kind of in the hotel tech stack?
Well, in the hotel tech stack, I think if you look at it, and we've all seen these sort of market maps of all the technologies that,
Right.
I mean, it's staggering. There's a lot,
It is.
and even the market maps are only covering some of the known players. There's probably a much bigger map that you could create because there's a lot of regional players and things like that
Right.
that come into play. So I think I personally believe that saying things need to be fixed is kind of harsh. I think that the expectation that you have to work with 25 or 30 or 40 different technology vendors to be successful with a hotel, I think that's something that is due for some review.
Yeah.
And we play in a very specific area, but even in our area, there's a number of different technologies that people use. And you just can imagine having to log in and out of different systems to try and get the information you need to then figure out and remember that what you saw, and then to actually go have to do something to build your strategy as a revenue manager. That's very challenging. So even in our unique area of the hospitality tech stack, there's just a lot of fragmentation, and that fragmentation can be solved in a number of ways through partnering, which is something that we do really well. We have over 100 technology partnerships and integrations that we have in place today, and that will grow over time. But also there's opportunity for us to really think through, how to make the revenue managers and the hoteliers that use Duetto successful. And that will be in a lot of the areas that we talked about. So AI, there's certainly some opportunity there. But then there's also new product enhancements and developments that we'll be rolling out that I think will capture this.
Okay. One of the things that we've been hearing quite a bit about, and we've covered quite a bit in PhocusWire, is this concept of hoteliers moving to a total revenue strategy, not just focused on room revenue. I wondered, your take on that, and what's been the holdup? What does it take to get us there?
Yeah, well, we are excited about this theme, as you might imagine. We have a history of innovating in this area. Many people don't realize this, but Duetto was really started in the casino segment. That's where we really started to develop the product. Now, casino is an important part of our business, but we cater to all segments now in around the world in terms of types of hotels. But casinos are really sophisticated in terms of how they think about yielding. So whether it's yielding, RV spots or cabanas at a pool, or restaurant reservations, entertainment, and including how they think about loyalty, and how they when gamblers come in, they look at kind of that loyalty element to it to understand how to think about the total revenue of that guest.
Yeah.
So we have sort of a foundation in understanding that. And you can see with the acquisition of MiceRate, which we now call Open Space, that we're really thinking through this idea of total revenue or being able to yield everything. So what we're doing now, and you see this in our recent announcements with the enhancements we're rolling out for Blockbuster, which is our group product, as
Yep.
well as now the integration of Open Space into our product set. These are really strong indications of where we're going, and we're not done. So ultimately, we want to get to a place where we can yield everything or everything with a price in the hotel. And if we're doing our job well over time, everything with a price in the hotel will be yieldable.
Yeah, just as an aside, as you were talking there about the history in the casino industry, I never really thought about the fact that the casino business really was on the ground floor related to loyalty in the hospitality industry. I mean, when you think about all the different little, for lack of a better word, kind of gimmicks that casinos have been able to employ over the years related to loyalty. So that's interesting to think about that connection there. I know, of course, a lot of this at its foundation relates to hotels trying to drive direct bookings. That's another, of course, key topic that we hear quite a bit about. I'm just wondering, what would be your advice there? Or maybe, if it's framed as if you were a hotelier, what would be some of the key things that you would be implementing or thinking about related to a direct booking strategy?
Well, I mean, it's a little self-serving, but I mean, that is what we do, right? I mean, that's why, in many cases, why you buy an RMS, whether it's Duetto or some other system. At its core, that's what we're helping the hotels do, is help them yield that direct booking. But that's not to say, I mean, you have a palette of options, many different channels, many different ways of marketing. And I think the biggest thing that you want to have, and as part of our philosophy, which is open pricing and having this flexibility that we offer within our solution, ultimately, you want to be able to present the right room at the right price at the right time. And there's many ways to do that. And there's many ways to tap into demand. Direct booking is one way to do that, but that doesn't, at any given time, it may be that the OTAs can help you drive more bookings into your hotel when you need it. And so I personally think that there's no one way to do it. I think it's how you leverage all of these different opportunities and channels to drive bookings for your hotel. And then having the technology and resources, and this is where we focus, is can you get the right information out of all these systems and out of all these different channels so that you can create a strategy that helps you maximize the revenue and profit for the hotel. That is fundamentally what we do, not only in terms of providing BI or business intelligence to our customers so that they can make these decisions, but also taking the data and then making sure that all these systems are in sync so that you have the best real-time, high-quality information, which is also a big area of opportunity for our industry.
Yeah. Just something I have to bring up, if you have any opinions on it, is what's been happening in Europe with the Digital Markets Act, that it's intended to kind of limit the powers of the companies they designated as gatekeepers, one of which is Google. But now, we've been hearing and seeing quite a bit of data that seems to show that the changes Google has made to comply with the DMA is actually causing a drop in some hotels' free traffic and increasing some visibility for OTAs. I mean, this is certainly going to be talked about, I think, for a while, would you say?
Yeah, and candidly, I don't think I have anything of real value to add to this kind of discussion on this topic, but I think it is interesting based on what I've read that the intended consequence of making this change is not what happened, and sort of the inverse. And so I think there's just going to be more to come on this. I think, it's great, that we're looking at these types of things to try and create an equitable environment for people to, build their business and to drive revenue for their hotels. But it's a complex matter. I'm probably not the person to comment on it.
Yeah, well, and it's probably changing as we're talking about it, and so it's it's going to be one I think that we hear about for some time. What about another kind of regulatory topic that we have been covering is what's been happening in the US related to algorithmic pricing solutions. What's your take on that? Is that something that is a valid point, or is it just being misunderstood?
I cannot really comment on this. Neither Duetto nor the properties we work with are part of any of these lawsuits that you're referencing, and it does not involve us.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's talk a bit about group travel, because that's a topic that we've heard quite a bit about. It's been changing. There's certainly, I think coming out of the pandemic, you hear a lot more about smaller groups getting together for team building. Now, as you have more of a dispersed workforce, there's this blending of leisure and business travel. How can hotels adapt to this?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's very exciting, right? So we talked a little bit earlier about how the industry has been through a lot, and the fact that group business is coming back with such strength is great for the industry. So I'm personally very excited about that. We are a fully remote company, so we see this kind of in our own business. Like, how do we get together?
Right.
And I think there's a lot of companies that really, and of course, events and things like that that are happening, and people are getting out there, which is really nice. How to think about it is, one is that these are opportunities for hotels, kind of some of the things you're talking about. It's not just getting the group in, but you also have all these ancillaries that people are going to need to make their stay at the property, really nice, whether it's, food or events or different things like that, or the different types of meeting space you might need. Of course, you have the room revenue, but really thinking through how that group business is going to play across the hotel in terms of occupancy and how the hotel should think about it. This is really why we've been investing in Blockbuster, which is our group product, as well as the acquisition that we made of Maestro, which is now called Open Space. We see a lot of opportunity here. This is yieldable revenue, right? And there's more to it than just the space itself. And when you go back to this idea of sort of attribute-based pricing or yielding everything, this is a fantastic area for hotels that they should be thinking about as opportunities to drive revenue and profitability for them.
On that, related to the group travel and opportunities, and then also back to the general point about total revenue, have you been thinking about or hearing chatter about a desire to also build in more of an experience opportunity for hotel guests? That's something that we have heard about, that certainly experiences seem to be top of mind for travelers now, and what they're going to do when they're staying someplace. They're not, for the most part, coming to a hotel to simply sit in their room. And so how can hotels play in that space, maybe through partnerships or that kind of thing? Well, what's your take on the future for that?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not an expert on this area. I've traveled quite a bit with my family and understand that people want to have experiences. I know we do. And I think people have a variety of ways to get after that. I think we're going to see some really interesting innovations here. With the advent of AI, with the advent of obviously direct travel, even vacation rentals, and thinking about, the different ways that you want to, build your stay. I think you're going to see some really interesting stuff, and it's already out there. There are, solutions out there where you can say, hey, I'm going to be in, whatever city on these dates. I want to see, the best attractions, and you can get that information relatively easily now. And so then it's how do you curate it is really so that it's exactly what you want, where you get the reviews, all those different things that you would want to be able to kind of think through your experience.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and potentially having that built into the hotel booking flow then, so I'm kind of looking at where I'm staying, and I'm also looking at these options for experiences all in one. So
yes, that is an opportunity. And I think you will see an evolution there in terms of a lot of times people, they're not being presented with all the offers that they could take advantage of. And then you also have to think about, how do you make that a great user experience from a technology standpoint? Because, you don't want to overwhelm the guest. You do want them to book the room. And so you really have to balance the two things. But I think it's a really interesting area. It's not something that we necessarily do in our kind of day-to-day business, but you can see opportunities from a, revenue management standpoint where that could come into play with what we do.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up, I would love to just hear you tell us a little bit about what, kind of what's on your to-do list for the next year. What are some of the priorities for you and for Duetto and any growth plans you may have?
Well, so first and foremost, we need to focus on execution, right? We know what we want to build. We know, we've announced some of the things that we're working on, and we want to continue to execute on those plans. We're not done. So we want to really focus on execution, continuing to build out our product, continuing to, really engage with our customers to understand their needs, and to improve the experience they have with Duetto. In terms of my to-do list, as we announced with the acquisition, we're going to be spending a lot of time thinking about AI and how we incorporate that into our products and create new enhancements. So that's going to be on my to-do list. We're already doing it, but you will see us do more investment in global or international expansion. We're already, highly globalized as a company, but we see a lot of opportunity to continue on that path. It's an exciting part of our business, and being in more than 60 countries around the world, we see plenty more countries for us to go into and find more hotels to use Duetto. That's really important. And just really acclimating ourselves to our new partners at Growth Curve, and building a successful plan for the next 5 to 7 years, all of which makes my to-do list pretty long. But as I said, I'm really excited about the industry. I really love being involved in the industry. I think there's a lot of opportunity. It's great to see not only transient business having kind of recovered after the rough patch we went through a couple of years ago, but also now the advent of group business coming on board. And so I just see a lot of opportunity for us across the board.
Okay. Well, I look forward to getting those updates about the AI products whenever you're ready to share. So,
All right.
David Woolenberg from Duetto, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.